Good afternoon. Today we are going to be presenting Drawing Boundary Conditions for Learning by Drawing by Logan Fiorella. This article reviews some important aspects of drawing and how it can affect the reading comprehension. In addition, some important factors that affect the process, such as the type of drawing and the strategies used by the teacher during the learning process. Now, I would like to mention that according to the reading, illustrations are very important for students because they facilitate the understanding of the topics. And this illustration can be drawings or even graphs, diagrams, and animations. In addition, this article seeks to examine the effects of asking students to create drawings while reading scientific texts, which is called learning by drawing according to Fiorella and Mayer. Here, an example can be like having students reading a text, and while they read the text, they draw what they are reading. And in that way, they can have like a better illustration of what they are reading. And we also have the purpose of the research. Basically, the purpose is to analyze how drawing helps when reading instead of just using summarizing or other techniques. Also, to distinguish among different levels of drawing guidance used in past research to evaluate the extent to which learning by drawing depends on high levels of guidance and to provide a framework for future research. Finally, to discuss the theoretical and practical implications of the findings and to recommend ways to broaden research on drawing for further explore underlying processes, individual differences, and the use of drawing in different learning contexts. Then we have the methods. In the methods, we have for different levels. Level 1, minimal guidance. Level 2, drawing training. Level 3, partially completed illustration. And level 4, comparison with provided illustration. So the first label that is minimal guidance. Basically, here students don't have any kind of training before drawing. So basically, they use like their own knowledge about the topic, and yeah, basically there's no any kind of previous training. In the level 2, we have drawing training. In this level, there is a previous training where students can learn a little bit more about drawing so they can put it into practice during the learning process. Then we have the level 3 that is partially completed illustration. Here, students are supported during the learning process. Basically, they are provided with illustrations that are partially completed, such as a background, templates, or images of essential elements from the learning materials that they can incorporate in the drawing. As a result, students are not expected to generate visual on their own, but create drawings that integrate provided visuals. So basically, they're not gonna create their own drawings. They're just gonna incorporate them. Then we have the for level, there is comparison with provided illustration. As we saw in the level 3, students are normally provided with a partial illustration. However, the idea on the level 4 is to provide illustrations that are already completed, so students can compare them with their own, and in that way, they can receive feedback about their drawing and the topic.
Good afternoon. I'm going to share the screen. 1 second. Okay. I'm going to refer to the literature review of the article. So in this first section, they give a more extensive background of the topic, given these concepts. So first of all, learning by drawing. Students create representative illustrations to achieve a learning goal. Drawing generates an external representation, making explicit the structural relationships of the learning material. How does drawing foster learning? Well, learning through drawing has its roots in theories of learning from multiple representations as dual coding theory, generative learning theory, and theories of multimedia learning. Since the verbal representation is provided, learners must use their existing knowledge to translate the text into their own visuospatial representation. Next one is boundaries of learning by drawing. Drawing will only be effective if students can create quality drawings that accurately represent the structural relationship described in the text. And also, learners with little knowledge will need external support coming from an instructor. And drawing is most effective for fostering meaningful learning outcomes such as comprehension and transfer rather than memory outcomes. Now we are going to go to the next slide. Okay. In the next slide, this will be the second part of the literature review. First, they analyzed peer-reviewed articles testing the effects of creating drawings on learning outcomes. And then they classified each study based on the level of drawing guidance that was employed. They compare learning by drawing with other model-focused strategies such as the following, which are text-focused strategy. Text-focused strategies may help students select the key propositions from the lesson to create a text base. Then model-focused strategy, which in our opinion seems to be the best of these three. For example, drawing, support the deeper generative process. Students can create an integrated mental representation or situation model of the material to be acquired during learning. And the last point, instructor-provided illustration. Learning from multimedia indicates that adding instructor-provided visuals to text generally results in better understanding than when students learn from the text alone. Also, it mentions that drawing may support more active cognitive processing because students are required to convert the text into their own representative illustration, which is something different from imagination, for example. Okay, thank you very much.
So continuing with the presentation, now we jump to the part of results. In this case, they're divided in two parts, the table 4, in which the authors found that in this part of the results, it's focused on the levels and functions of drawing guidance used in past research. And they are focusing the four levels, as my classmate already explained them. And the level is guidance, guidance, timing, description, and proposed function. And in the next table, in the results, in the table number 5, is when they focus on the main effects sides of learning by drawing by comparison, conditions, and guidance level. In this case, they also are focusing on the 4 different levels and how the learning outcomes went. So as you can see, they're focusing in different learning outcomes like comprehension, transfer, and different levels, and 3 different comparison conditions, which is read only or text focus, model focus, and provided illustrations. And now in the part of discussions, which is where the authors explained the results in a detailed way. First, we have In the table 4, it's how the time varied, which means that these methods may vary based on the time at which they are implemented in the drawing process, which is before, during, or after. Then it's how the amount of support is crucial. The amount of support they provided to the students and their primary instructional functions is so crucial for this part. Then how the proposed framework primarily aims to guide future research, exploring the benefits and boundaries of drawing, and how can be used to provide some additional insights into the existing evidence regarding how drawing compares to other learning strategies. And then with table number 5, we have first the average effect sizes of learning by drawing, comparison, condition, and level of guidance. Then we have the drawing is compared to only reading, which is how the text or using text focus strategies level of drawing guidance does not appear to play a significant role, which is even with the studies using minimal guidance in level 1 generally report positive effects of drawing. Then how drawing is compared to instructor provided illustrations. And this is how this is more effective when they have a guide at the time of draw, and how the level of guidance might moderate the effectiveness of drawing. Then how drawing was often less effective than studying provided illustrations is because when students were only provided with minimal, in this case was level 1 drawing, because drawing guidance, it's because it was at least as effective as sometimes more effective when students were provided with the highest level of drawing guidance. In this case was level number 4. And finally, it's how additional time and mental effort demands associated with constructing drawings. And as I already mentioned, all these in this last part, the additional time and mental effort is associated with the amount of support.
Okay, finally, we have the limitations and conclusion. So basically in the limitations, we have that learning by drawing is an emerging research area, which means that there are not enough research in regards to the topic. In addition, the existing research focuses in short-term control experiments that isolated the effects of drawing compared to other types of learning activities, according to Logan and Kian. As a result, the conclusion will be based on a specific context. In addition, there are some other factors that may affect the effectiveness of drawing, such as complexity of the text, how the drawing is constructed. So for example, if it is constructed by hand or if it is constructed by computer, and the drawing ability. And so these are aspects that should be reviewed in further research. Finally, in the conclusion, we have that it is important to understand the boundaries that affects instructional methods and learning strategies. In addition, the article review if the learning strategy is effective, but also under which conditions it is effective. Moreover, it provides some areas that require further research in future investigations. In a few words, it provides boundary conditions that are helpful to determine when drawing is a good strategy in the teaching learning process and when the teacher should look for other strategies. And here we have our reference. Thank you.